Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to the channel. We are here today to try to make the best of a bad situation. Our slam build did in fact get nerfed, and nerfed pretty hard did it. This is going to be a less formal video. It's going to be more just my initial thoughts on it, my ideas of how to get yourself back up to parity. Just for disclosure, you will not hit the same amount of DPS you were before, not even close. But you have to understand that some of the numbers, a lot of these builds were pulling single target were extremely inflated for the actual need of the content. You didn't need this much DPS, so you're still gonna clap some cheeks, but you're not gonna be clapping all of the cheeks, to say the least. Let's really quickly go over what was like the biggest changes as far as what the changelog is and some REs that no longer work for this build. In the changelog, reduced the base damage and attack power scaling of deadly poison by 5%, and the same thing for instant poison, but 10%. Fix an issue where poisons could proc twice off of a single cast of slam. Fix an issue where single-minded fury offhand hits would not proc effects. Just warming up no longer is triggered from overheating. Growing rage is no longer triggered from poisons, and I believe any proc effect abilities that are proccing damage increase REs no longer work. You actually have to use the ability. This is very unfortunate, but I kind of expected this to get nerfed. A proc on a weapon is not an ability, and it was being coded to be such that you don't actually have to use abilities to get the benefit of it. And I kind of just through logical thinking figured this would also get nerfed. I was just using it for the time being. Unfortunately, I was hoping maybe it would pass under the radar, but I do agree with their sentiment of changing it to where you actually have to use the abilities to get the buff. One other RE that did also get changed was the Elemental Devastation RE that we were using. No longer procs off poisons because the talented version of the same skill was not working, so why should the RE? It was just a lesser version of the talent, but one was working with it and one was not. For disclosure purposes, so you guys understand I'm not trying to hide anything from you, I did report back in the alpha about 3 months ago that single-minded fury slam was proccing an inordinate amount of slams. There was times where I'd be getting up to 15 procs per swing. Granted, they weren't hitting nearly as hard as they are now. I don't think the AP scaling was high as it was here on the alpha, or from the alpha onto the live client it is now. So I was netting less DPS then from poisons, but they were proccing way more. Just so you guys understand, I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I did submit this expecting it was a bug. In my last video, if you watch the poison procs, I know it's a little bit hard, but if you slow the footage down towards the end where the DPS test is, you can actually see I'm getting like 3, 4, maybe 5 procs. This has gone down to maybe 2 to 3. So it's about a 50% reduction in poison procs. Let's go over the REs so you guys understand what I have changed to compensate for the loss of some of the other REs. Naturally Strong is still very strong. We still use poisons. It is still the best weapon enchant you can use. It far outscales any kind of seals or weapon or Wind Fury or Rock Biter, hands down. So it's still the best. Overheating, improved cleave, improved poisons, Battery Ram, all the same natural born fighter. We replaced just warming up with counterpoise. This is, from my testing, the strongest other epic RE we can get for this build. And we put 1 point into precision instead of unbridled wrath because we did a little bit of talent changing around. So you guys understand where I am. I will be doing another patchwork test, and I won't include the footage this time. I'll just show you a snapshot of the final DPS numbers so you guys can understand exactly what the impact was on my build. For clarity purposes, I am using far stronger weapons than I was in the first video. So I was doing 5.6k in the other video with a Vindicator's brand and an Edge of Cosmos. As you can tell, I have the tier 2 Master Axesmith axe, the Black Planar Edge, and the Planar Edge, which I'm looking to upgrade here fairly soon. And I'm doing far less DPS than I was before. So these impacts to the build were fairly significant. Going over here to the talent trees, we'll go over what we changed so you guys can understand exactly what we did. It's all fairly similar. This is still the same. Protection is still the same. The difference is we pulled 1 point out of Weapon Mastery and 1 point in Flurry to max out off the dual wield specialization to get that much damage as possible. Still scaling poisons the same way we did before. So the talent trees are fairly similar. I just decided to move 2 points into something a little bit more impactful, and in about 3 hours of testing, maxing this was more powerful than any other combination that I could do. I'll go ahead and cut over to the final snapshot of the patchwork test so you guys can understand exactly what we're working with, and some of my closing thoughts so you guys can know what my mindset is going forward with this build, okay? I'll see you guys in just a minute. All right, we just finished the patchwork test, and hovering around 4.4, 4.5, 4.6k is about the best that I could do. In comparison to what I was doing before with far less gear, I would say that a 1k DPS nerf is fairly substantial. I would still say 4.6, 4.5 is still well above average, and I'm not too beat up about it myself. Just really depending on the standards at which they're balancing the content around, and I will get into just a little bit more of that, comparing my build versus the functionality of some other builds. So I was able to pull about 4.5k. As far as the melee nerfs, I feel like some of them are warranted. If Slam was legitimately proccing way too many poisons, I would like them to fix that. I wouldn't want to play a build that relies on some janky bug to be really, really effective. Then I would feel illegitimate as a player. That being said, I will pull up a picture of another DPS test that I saw from these two guys in Horde Guard, Meliodas and Shadow QZ. Shadow QZ is pulling 7.2k single target, and Meliodas is hovering around 6.2k single target. Meliodas is playing a fire hybrid melee build, which is fairly fun and very interesting to play. If you guys haven't seen it, maybe look up someone else playing it. And Shadow QZ is playing a Shadow Dot caster. Now, not that I really have a problem that certain builds are stronger than what I'm playing. That's just to be expected. You know, some builds are stronger than others, and I can't fault them for going towards the stronger of the options. That being said, someone pulling nearly 3k DPS more than me with really not that much better gear. I am extremely geared compared to most other people. And someone pulling that high of a DPS number over what I am makes me wonder where the internal balance team's direction for the game is heading. If they would give us some clear-cut number about this is the minimum DPS from 10, at least minimum 10 people going to Kara to complete the content, then if 4.4k is enough, I would not even care. If it was 3k and it was enough to complete the content, I wouldn't care. The problem is, traditionally, looking at the track record of the balance team and looking to vanilla for context, they are typically balancing DPS checks and raid encounters, people pulling the absolute maximum amount of DPS possible, and which excludes a lot of class variety. And for a server boasting classless and classless WoW and innovation and play what you want, if they're gonna balance the PvE content around the very, very, very narrow, ultra niche top end builds, then I can't see why they would even give us a class or an option to play anything else. Because if they're going to be balancing it around that, then they might as well just hand us all the same gear with the same talent builds and say, here, this is how we balanced it. If you want to get through it, suck it up and play what we want you to play. Not a very good look. So, balance team, if you're watching this, I do commend you for doing what you have. Some builds, the Envenom Poison build was getting a little out of hand. But in comparison to some other things, I would say that someone doing 5.5k isn't really in need of a nerf when people pre-nerf were doing almost 3k more than me. So I'm going to wrap the video there. Thank you for watching, guys. I'm sorry for the informal rambling. I will get back to you if I come up with any other builds that suit my fancy. and we'll just have to see where we're going from here going into Kara in the future. Thanks again, guys, for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.